Hello, my name is Kyle Ranke, and today we're going to go over the installation of our electrified mortise lock. Let's start with the unboxing of our product. We'll start with the small box first. We'll have a template for the door prep. We'll have our mounting hardware, batteries, our reader, our mounting plate and control board, our cover, silicone door gasket, and our door position sensor. Next is the large box. Inside of the large box, you'll have your mortise lock case, your screw pack, thumb turn, your strike mounting screws, and your two boxes which will contain your trim packs. Inside of your small trim pack boxes, you'll have an inside and outside lever, an inside and outside rose assembly, and a spindle pack. After unboxing your lock body, the first thing we want to do is remove the face plate that's held on by two Phillips head screws. You can go ahead and set these screws and the face plate off to the side. Before we can install our mortise lock case, we need to route our lock body cable through the lock cavity. That can be accomplished by attaching a semi-rigid wire to the end of your cable to help pull through the cavity. We're going to use our semi-rigid wire to pull our lock cable through the door cavity. Once we have the wire pulled through and the lock body set properly in the door prep, we'll use our large combo screws to secure the lock body in the door. When tightening the screws of the lock body, it's better to use a handheld than your electrical or impact drill guns. We don't want to take the chance of stripping out or damaging the door prep. Next, we're going to install the levers on our rose assemblies. The cap head screws can be difficult to tighten, so we suggest with the Allen key provided, you could use a pair of pliers to help assist, or you could use a T-handle. We're going to start with the outside rose assembly, which is easily identified by the long through bolts coming out of the backside of the trim. We're going to install our lever on the square spindle using the cap head screw. Again, suggest using a T-handle. For the inside rose assembly, we will remove the rose scalp and attach our lever using the cap head screw again. This step will not be required for our aspiring and jasper levers. We're going to start installing our trims. The first step is to put our spindles into place. The long part of the spindle will have a spring on it, and that will stick away from the lock body. It is important to put it in a shape of a square, not a diamond. Right? We're going to start installing the trim by starting with our outside rose assembly. You can tell again the outside rose assembly with the long through bolts. We'll have the through bolts going through the proper holes, and then confirming that the spindle has engaged with the rose assembly itself, and then we'll put the inside on. Now that we have both assemblies in place, I'll start by inserting my mounting screw, which is found in the screw pack. I will tighten this down to about 80% before I put in the lower. Once you have the trim tightened down, you can go ahead and install your outside rose scalp. Remember, with the aspiring and the jasper levers, we did not attach the lever to the rose assembly because the rosette does not fit over that lever design. And so for the aspiring and jasper levers, we will install the actual trim piece, put the rose scalp on, and then attach the levers using a small set screw. It's important along the process of installing this mortise lock to kind of test the functionality, and I want to show you what happens when you over tighten the through bolts. The lever will not retract back to its normal position. Okay, that just means we probably over tightened those through bolts a little bit. Once you have the through bolts tightened properly, you'll notice the levers retract back to their normal position. We're going to install the thumb turn on the inside of our door. Get the spindle of the thumb turn into position, and then attach it with the two Phillips head screws. Again, once you have your screws tight, it's always good to check the function. Now we're going to install our keyed cylinder on the outside. You're going to have your cylinder spring, your cylinder collar, and then we're going to thread this onto the door. I like to use the key almost as like a wrench. If you have the key fully inserted and pull it back just a little bit, then you can use that to assist in the tightening process. We're going to stop tightening the cylinder when it becomes flush or just a little bit recessed in the collar. The next part of securing that cylinder is using the Allen key or the T-handle provided to tighten down the Allen head set screw that will lock your cylinder into place. Now that we're done setting the cylinder into place, again, we want to check function. Retract the latch with the key, can throw the deadbolt and retract the deadbolt. Now that we have everything set up, we're going to go ahead and install our armor plate for the front of the mortise lock. Set it into position and then attach it using the 2 Phillip head screws. Next, we're going to install the reader. We're going to make sure that the reader cable and the top through bolt go through the top mounting hole. If you would happen to have a door position sensor, at this time you would also pull that sensor wire through with the reader cable at the top of the through bolt hole. We're going to get our silicone gasket in place. We're going to run the lock cable through the lower left hand rectangle slot in that silicone gasket. We're going to run our reader cable through the top central part of the gasket rectangle slot up there. If you had your door position sensor, it would also go through the same hole. And we want to make sure that the black and yellow wires on the reader cable are to our left for proper installation into the board. Next, we're going to get our cables through our mounting plate. We're going to want to put the connectors through the machine slots on the back of the mounting plate. Alright, to get the first plug in on this lower slot down here, you have to bend the plug so it goes in line with the actual wires. It'll fit in like that. Once you fish that through, you're going to keep it on the outside of the red and black power wires and plug this one in a while. Moving on to the top wire, you have to put it in where the plug's going vertically. Once it goes through, if you turn it 90 degrees, it sometimes makes it easier to fish it up through the top. Once you get it at that angle, you can grab the cable itself, get a little further. There you go. Now I would stop here because what I'm going to do is fish this cable through so that way I can pull it closer to the door. Now I will get my top plug, pull the excess wire through so I can plug this into place. I'm going to make sure the rubber gasket is in the metal cutout here. There's this kind of raised piece that's going to set in the groove on this side of the plate here. After that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to route this excess wire and put it behind the board. This will give me room when I go to put on the cover plate. Next, we're going to use our mounting screws to attach the mounting plate to the reader. I'm going to use the 1 7/8 screws, but there are 1 1/4 screws provided for thinner doors. We will use the small self-drilling screw provided to secure the bottom of the mounting plate. This will be able to be used on both metal and wood doors. Now we're going to install our batteries. Listen for our tone. After you get your cover installed, you're going to use this small flathead screw to secure it. The hole is located at the bottom of the cover.
That's good.
And that completes the installation of our electrified mortise lock.